Welcome to ILTV's Insider. I'm Aaron Porras, and our main topic tonight, the governing coalition seemingly on the verge of collapse. Major drama in the Knesset breaking out as the Bennett-Lapid government crumbling at the seams, it seems. Less than 1 year into its tenure and after 4 consecutive elections, MK Idit Silman from Prime Minister Bennett's Yamina party resigning and defecting for the Likud under former Prime Minister and Knesset opposition head Benjamin Netanyahu. And while the exact reasons for her decision are still in question, one thing is for sure. The coalition's thin majority is gone, and the opposition is increasing its pressures in hopes of returning to power as soon as possible. So what's going to happen next? And if Bennett and Lapid can manage to stay in control, can the government even be effective? Joining me to discuss is member of the Likud party's Central Committee, Dor Harlap, and Jeremy Salton, Special Advisor for Legislative Affairs and Director for English Operations in the Prime Minister's Yamina party. Now, I'm actually going to start with you, Jeremy. Prime Minister Bennett reportedly took full responsibility on the resignation of MK Idit Silman. Is he really to blame, and to what degree?
I disagree that he's to blame, but of course, when you're the prime minister, you take the blame because, you know, it goes all the way to the top. But again, I think there are two main reasons in terms of why Idit resigned. Number one was the level of negativity, toxicity, and bullying that was being directed both towards her personally as well as members of her family and her close friends. The stuff that she went through, and again, she told me in the weeks leading up to her eventual resignation, a lot of stories that are just really crazy and are just bullying and trolling in the most disgusting ways. And of course, she was the person who made sure that she counted the votes up until a couple of weeks ago so that we could go ahead and make through all of these bills. So it's not exactly like this is a government that she didn't like. She was the chief whip. She was the coalition chair who made sure that we had those votes. And I said
think Zev Elkin was a little bit more.
Dor, it's important you listen to the second reason, because that one you might actually agree with. And that is that in this coalition, we had coalition agreements. And not all the coalition agreements with the Yamina party were honored. You know, we have a constituency that we represent in the Knesset. And when you have signed agreements with other parties, when you have commitments and pledges that are made based on the outline and understandings when we form this government in terms of how it's supposed to be. So, you know, unfortunately, there were people on the other half of the government that were not living up to those commitments. That caused a lot of frustration for Idit. And you can see based on public statements by Nir Orbach and others within our party that that is a very contested issue. And then I can also tell you that since Idit's resignation, and once the other side really realized that this is a real thing and that we're not just going ahead and complaining, but that there's a real issue here. So suddenly we see they've gotten off their high horses and have definitely seen improvement within that regard.
Well, Dor, I want to turn to you now. You know, same question. Bennett is taking the blame on himself. Here we have Jeremy saying that he's just being diplomatic. Would you agree?
First of all, yes, Naftali Bennett has the responsibility for that because it's his party. It's, you know, like, it's his fault. It's his party. He needs to make sure that all the people that are with him will be in the same alignment with him. But and they are not. Okay, I think that we can see from the behavior of Yamina's party's parliament members' behavior in the last week that they are not aligned with Naftali Bennett at all. And I think it's not only because the government is doing things that are not okay with them. It's also because of Naftali Bennett's behavior himself. Okay, I think that he doesn't do enough on the political arena, political side, to make sure that his friends are still standing with him.
Well,
now,
what do you think? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Just a second, specifically about Idit Silman. So I, you know, as a commentator from the side, I read Galit Distal's parliament member from the Likud testimony yesterday. She said, I had a long conversation with Idit Silman, and she said she's not afraid of Naftali Bennett. She's not afraid of Bibi Netanyahu's supporters. She's not afraid of anyone. She's just afraid from God. That's what she told Galit Distal. And she said, I'm afraid to God that I will be. I'm being part of this anti-Jewish and anti-Semite. Sometimes, in some actions, part of being of this coalition.
So what do you think? What do you think was the nail in the coffin? Because again, we're a year in to this government. We're almost a year into this government's control. So what do you think exactly was the nail in the coffin that drove Silman to defect?
I'm not sure that there is a nail in the coffin. I think that she saw that she didn't get a backup from Naftali Bennett in the last week after all the conversation about the Chametz Passover situation in the hospitals with Nitzan Horowitz. I think that this issue was pretty affecting on Idit Silman, but I don't think that's a one thing that happens. I just think that, you know, you pour water until it's spilled off. So I don't think there is a specific thing that happened.
So Jeremy, change her mind. So Jeremy, back to you. You know, again, do you think, based on again what Dole is saying here, that the right-wing parties, the Yamina Party, Naftali Bennett himself, are losing touch to any degree with the right-wing voter base and losing them?
No, not at all. And again, I don't know what, Distal is saying, an MK from the Likud party, who you can just look at her Twitter feed in terms of the stuff that she herself has tweeted against Idit Silman for the last 10 months. So that's a bit rich. I know Idit Silman for 10 years. We've spent a lot of time together. I work with her. I spend quite a lot of time in her office, which is still next to the Prime Minister's office in the Knesset. She has the closest proximity to the Prime Minister, okay, within the office space of the Knesset. I've spent many hours having a lot of conversations.
I will say even the opposite.
Again, you can say whatever you want to say, but like you said.
So, Dole, I'm going to ask that we try and speak one at a time so that we can hear.
You're a commentator from the outside. I'm telling you from the inside, as someone who spent countless hours working side by side with Idit, who again was a member of my party until, just about a week ago. And I am telling you that if this was an issue-based thing, you would see the same thing that you're seeing from Abir or Nir or Ayelet or the others, and that is raising specific issues, making coalition demands, you make ultimatums, the other side either backs down and you get something, or you deal with the political process. When you drop a bombshell, at 7 a.m., this is when there are other parties involved. You have the Smotrich party, you have the Likud party. You see that this is not something that came from her from one day.
So do you think that maybe she might rejoin, that she might come back to the coalition? Can something reverse this course?
Yes. Yes, for sure. I think so. I think it's important to note the stuff she put in her resignation letter, as well as all of her public statements since she left the coalition. She's never said that she's going to vote against the coalition. From my understanding, it's now a 60-59. It's not a 60-60.
Right.
She said very clearly she does not want to be sanctioned like Sheikly does.
All right, I want to get Dole's take then.
She doesn't want to be part of this anymore. She doesn't want to lie to the people who voted for her. She doesn't want to be in a situation that the coalition is forcing her to be part of advancing issues that she's not for. And I think that the time out from the Knesset activity, the time out with the family, with the neighbors, with the people who cares about her, not just sitting next to her in the aisles of the Knesset. That's the time she understands, that she's taking care of issues she doesn't want to take care of. She needs to oppose these issues, and she cares about what she does. And as far as I see, it's not a political opportunism, because I don't see that she got a serious promises from the Likud. People are talking about promises, but we don't have a concrete promise from the Likud to Idit Silman, as far as I see it until now.
Amit Segal said she got number 10 as well as the health ministry in terms of the next.
It's not a specific.
Of course, she said no to it because it would be a criminal offense if she admitted to that. So obviously, she's not going to say
true. That's not true. That's not true.
It is not a criminal offense for her to go ahead and accept that sort of a deal. There's a reason why she has not said publicly whatever was, done there. We know that she said by her own, she sat with the former Prime Minister Netanyahu, the opposition leader, at 3 a.m. the night before she went ahead and she did that letter. She wrote that letter. She said by her own testimony when she was in Smotrich's office, another party leader, the Prime Minister did not see it. Again, this was something that was, if you're going to blindside everybody, it's obviously not about a specific issue. It's not something that you could have seen in, again, the weeks going up until we went into recess. We're in the middle of a recess. There are no votes scheduled for the next month anyways. It's a very peculiar timing, if you ask. Of course, there are a lot of ways to speculate what happened here. But what I will say is this. It's very rich when I see people who do not know Idit. And again, I'm saying I know her very well. She's a friend of mine. We've known each other for 10 years. It's very rich when other people try to tell me that they know what Idit is thinking, what she is feeling, what she went through. Because again, being in the room, hearing her tell me the stuff that she went through is stuff that no one should have to go through. And it's quite rich now that people who are suddenly saying that they love her, the stuff that they themselves have said towards her and done towards her over the months leading up to this decision.
Can you expand on that? I mean, of course, we've heard speculation that obviously there were pressure and even threats aimed at her husband, and even her children. But to what extent? Can you expand on that?
Look, I don't want to go ahead and take personal conversations I had with Idit and go ahead and broadcast them to an international media. But I am speaking in generalizations when I am saying that not just was she targeted, but I'm saying the people around her, the staffers around her, the assistants, a lot of her neighbors, a lot of her family members.
Why only Idit? Why only Idit and not other Knesset members? Why aren't we hearing this kind of pressure from everyone in the coalition?
I welcome you to go outside of Nir Orbach's house. There's protests outside of his house. They've been going on for weeks. I welcome you to look outside of Ayelet Shaked's house. It is the same thing. To say that this is not happening to anyone else is just not factual. The fact is that everybody has been going through this. The high point was at the entrance, the formation of this government. It died down a little bit. But since the Knesset went into recess, there's been a resurgence and a new level of the toxicity, negativity, and bullying, along with the trolling that we've seen from the BB team. And it is Idit who unfortunately cracked, but she's not the only one that went through that.
All right, Dole, I want to hear from you as well.
So it's important to say that the other people in Yamina's party is not having this experience. It's very simple.
Well, Jeremy just said that that's not true. That's not the case. That there are people in the Yamina party and others in the coalition who are experiencing that pressure.
So I would like to say that it's not true. I will tell you why. Because everybody knows.
Do you want to see my email? Do you want to see my Facebook? Do you want to see my WhatsApps? I'm not even a Knesset member, and I'm getting a lot of this. I am sick and tired of liars. You want to say that you agree with her, that's fine. Do not lie about the stuff that Idit went through, the stuff that I am going through, or the stuff that Nir, Ayelet, Abir, Yom Tov, and all the others are going through. I will not stand for that.
You are making the whole country is going through something crazy, and then you're coming for people protesting against your place and sending you emails.
Protesting is fine.
You are kidnapping the
having a loudspeaker, and saying slurs and curses and using profanity at the children of MKs that have nothing to do with this. That is not okay. That is not a normal thing in a democracy. That is not the way that people act.
Excuse me. When you protest in front of a Knesset member house, that's totally fine. His kids maybe live there. That's okay. That's our country. The parliament member is doing things that are affecting our country.
Well, honestly, though, I mean, do you really think that that's okay? Why not protest at the Knesset? Why take it to somebody's home and put them and their family in the line of fire?
Ayelet Shaked is never at the. So I will just say, Ayelet Shaked is never at the Knesset because she's not a member today, member of the parliament today. And
you can go outside the Interior Ministry if you want. I just want to say it's interesting.
It doesn't work that way.
The neighbors of Prime Minister Bennett, they matter when they complain, but then when the neighbors of Ayelet Shaked complain, they don't matter. I just want that picture to be out there. When the Prime Minister, he needs to go ahead and make security arrangements around his house, we should not shut up any of the neighbors. We should listen to them and give them a megaphone. But when it's Ayelet Shaked's neighbors, and suddenly politically it makes sense for me, so then we're going to just say that it doesn't matter and you're allowed to do everything.
As far as I remember, during the Corona time, we had many protests in Jerusalem against the administration. I don't think it was something that happened almost every day, and that's okay. We're in a democratic country, so it's okay. We can protest in front of Prime Minister and in front of parliament members. Now, I agree with you. No one should speak with the kids of this parliament member or that parliament member in an offensive way about the things that their parents is doing or not doing. It's not a matter of the family. It's not a matter of the family. It's about the parliament member itself. But yes, we should protest against any parliament member who does something that we don't agree with. Now, it doesn't have to be offensive, but yes, standing and protesting outside of Nir Orba's house is totally fine. You have to understand, the government in Israel is taking care of serious issues, okay? Some of the deals that the Amina party is making is selling the Negev to national Arabic people, okay? That's taking away part of our land and giving it away in some way or some other way, okay? Yes, we want to protest against it. And it's important to say, this is happening without any mandate from the public to do so, okay? Even now, in the polls, there is no majority for this nonsense, okay? And Naftali Bennett is still a prime minister that sits up with 5 seats in the parliament. 5 seats. Now, it doesn't work that way not in companies, no, in any democratic institution. It doesn't make sense, okay? We're in a crazy situation. Now, that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, so I want to let's talk actually a little bit about the efficacy of the government, given that the Yamina Party's share of the coalition is quite small, with only 5 seats, as Dole says, and now that the coalition has lost its de facto majority, how can this coalition continue to run effectively?
So I will begin, if that's okay, Jeremy.
Sure.
As far as I see it, this coalition can stay for a while, okay? Because the one finger of Idit Silman is not changing that much.
Right.
There was not a majority in the coalition for any big issue anyways. And the ministers are taking, in effect, their own policies. And they're not using the parliament as a main arena for bringing the changes that they want to bring. So I don't think that the budget will pass, but I don't think we're going to have elections in the next few months, okay? It's going to take a year or something like that. That's all.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree that in terms of Idit's resignation from the coalition, it has zero impact on the executive branch of the government because she wasn't a member of the executive branch. The numbers there remain the same. In terms of the parliamentary majority, we don't need the 61st vote until March 31st of 2023. That's a year away. That's a long time.
Yes, you have a long time.
We can go by for quite a long time in this situation. And as I mentioned also, she doesn't want to be in a Shikli situation of sanctions against her. So her current plan is not to vote against the coalition, just to abstain or not show up for the vote. That way, when there's that crucial vote that she's looking for to be able to topple the government, she will still be in a position to have so without jeopardizing her future politically. So again, I don't think there'll be that much of a difference. We're going down from a 61-59 majority to a 60-59 majority. We still maintain a majority. We still have 60 votes to block any initiative coming from the opposition, because you need to have.
So are we looking at a stalemate? And so are we looking at a stalemate for the next year with that's not going to run anything?
We're looking at a stalemate, and the ministers of the coalition, Merav Michaeli and all those friends, are going to stay and affect their own policies in their seats, in their ministries, which is bad for the state of Israel. But there's nothing we can do today, and I have a lot of criticism for the Likud's leadership about not being fast enough in the last week and making sure that the situation that we'll have another finger and not just Idit Silman.
Well, it seems like the pressure. Well, I mean, Netanyahu went on like a rally tour and he put some considerable pressure. We know that Smotrich as well from the the Zionist.
Yes, but
National Zionist Party.
I believe that in all the rest of the people all the rest of the parliament members in Yamina are should have a better dialogue this week,
right?
Because they don't care about Naftali Bennett anymore. They don't care about this bad coalition anymore.
Well,
and with good negotiation skills, it was.
Well, let's hear from Jeremy on that. I mean,
Yeah. Look, just last night, all of the Amina members went ahead and had a nice dinner together to celebrate the 10th of Nisan, which is the Hebrew birthday of the Prime Minister. He's in great contact with everybody. I really, dismiss all of those things because, again, as I think even Dor just said, if someone was going to defect, they would have done so last week. They would have done so this week. They haven't. It's because, again, they feel much closer to the prime minister. They're very happy to be a part of the right-wing bloc of this government. They feel that they are doing the will of their constituency. And if you look at everything they're saying, what are they saying? No one has crazy demands. They're asking that the other side of this government live up to the written commitments, to the pledges and commitments made to them from the minute that we decided to form this government. And that's a normal thing. And that's within the normal parameters of what happens during a coalition crisis. And that's what this is. This is a coalition crisis. But it's also one that, like I said, we're going to move through because despite what everyone is saying, there is no 61 votes to be able to have a early election vote.
All right, Dor Harlap, thank you so much. Jeremy Salton, thank you as well. And of course, everybody at home, thank you for joining us. I'm Aaron Porras, and this was ILTV's Insider. Please tune in next time for more on everything Israel, and let us know in the comment sections online if there's a topic that you'd like us to cover next. And finally, for more of the latest updates from Israel, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter at ILTV.tv and sign up for our streaming platform, ILTV+. Thank you again, be well, and we'll see you soon.